right, folks, what's going on? This is episode 698 of the First and Frame Rate Show. I am VF Baller, or where we talk about Georgia Southern and Atlanta Falcons football. And we're going to end the week talking some Georgia Southern. And I'm going to make the case why Texas State is the biggest test. It's the biggest test for Georgia Southern. And I have a few reasons why, and we're going to get into it. Just get straight to the point. So if this is your first time here, welcome. I can be found on YouTube and Rumble. Also, I am on Anchor, Spotify, Apple, and Google Podcasts. If you don't mind subscribing to any of those podcast avenues, or if you rather stay over here on YouTube or Rumble, hit the like button. Subscribe to the channels because I will be bringing more content to you guys pretty much every day of the week. So hopefully you guys could check any of the content out. Also, I can be found on X at VF Baller, and the website is firstandframerates.com. Also, if you want to support the show, the CashApp or PayPal is down below. I know a few people have been asking about that, but it's always been down there. So the CashApp and PayPal is down below if you want to support the show. All right, let's go ahead and get into this. The reason why I say Texas State is going to be the biggest test for Georgia Southern so far, and the season's almost over. We got 4 more games left. And there's still more work to be done. Even if we overcome Texas State, we still got to find a way to get to that Sun Belt title or do everything we can to be in the Sun Belt title. So that's the biggest test. Can we do that? But so far, this Texas State game is going to be the biggest test for us. I mean, I know we talked about James Madison. We definitely talked about Georgia State, getting that proverbial, demon off our back when it comes to trying to beat Georgia State. We talked about beating Coastal Carolina, another team that was was becoming a thorn on our side. But no, I say Texas State is the biggest test so far. Why do I say that? Well, we're going all the way to San Marcos, Texas. That's for one. Texas State is a formidable opponent that we don't know too much about. We know all about Coastal Carolina. We know all about Georgia State. We know a little bit much about James Madison. But Texas State, this particular Texas State team has like 70-something new players. We haven't seen them since 2021. So this is a totally different team. This is a completely different team. At least pretty much every team that we've seen on our roster so far, we've seen one or two of these players at some point. I think Texas State is probably completely revamped. You got TJ Finley at quarterback, and this is pretty much a must-win for us. I believe that we should just go ahead and say it. We need to win out because we don't want to give any doubt that Georgia State needs to be back in the talks, or even if James Madison, even if they do or they're able to get into the Sun Belt title, we still need to be up there as if that we are just as deserving, even though they beat the snot out of us. But still, we need to win out, and especially with all these Sun Belt games. So it's a lot of pressure on this team. I mean, I know these guys can just go out there and play their game, do what they're supposed to do, make sure that they get the play Georgia Southern football, and they'll be fine. But you're going into hostile territory. You're going into unknown territory. And I'm not saying like San Marcos itself. Just talking about unknown as far as your opponent. You don't know too many people on this team, if any. So this is going to be a huge test. It's kind of similar to like the Wisconsin game, which I kind of felt from the beginning of the season. I knew that was a game that we're going to lose. I mean, I felt like we're going to lose 3 games. The Wisconsin game, the James Madison game, and the Marshall game. I still stand by that. Now, Marshall may be a team that we end up beating, but out of Texas State and Marshall, it's like a toss-up to me, and I pick Marshall. And Texas State is no pushover. They do have a blueprint to be beaten. If you look at the Troy game, Gunnar Watson basically did what we do as an offense. We throw the ball around and we're able to make things happen. I think Gunnar threw for over 300 yards. That's basically what Davis Brin does every day, when he's on the field. So that's right up our alley. So this game is not necessarily an unwinnable game. This game is very winnable, but we just need to play our game. Our defense need to play lights out. Well, not necessarily lights out. They just need to play to the point where we know that we can get a couple turnovers, we get a couple stops, and I already know we're probably going to give up a touchdown or 2. But that's where it needs to stop. We don't need to be giving up no more than 3 touchdowns. Now, I believe our team can score over 40 points, but you don't want to give the team any momentum. You don't want to give this team any, confidence, thinking that they can hang with us. We need to go ahead and try to stomp them on their necks early and stay ahead of the game. So, yes, this is the biggest test because it's more of an unknown, but I do feel like, that we will get we will get the W. Now, also another reason why I say that this is a big test. Normally, when we have a big game and we beat a team like Georgia State or when we beat like an Appalachian State or something, the next week we end up wetting the bed. Usually, like I remember one year we beat Appalachian State, end up losing to Troy. I think that happened a couple times. We beat Georgia State and then something else happens. Those type of things always happen to us. So we just had a huge victory against Georgia State. I mean, we did a really good job of beating this team. We don't need to be let down when we go play Georgia State. We need to go out there and play some ball, play some defense, get these guys on their backs, and score on them at every chance we get, because this is the time that we can go on a run, and I really want us to go on a run and run the table. I want to go ahead and finish this season at 10-2, and go into a bowl game, whatever the case may be, and do great things on that as well. I want us to do great things, but we definitely have to find a way to get past this team. Now, let's talk about this team real quick before we get out of here. TJ Finley himself, has done a very good job with the team as far as quarterback, thrown for over 2,200 yards. Their running backs run for over 850 yards, and their receiver has run for 663. He's caught for 663. So Finley has 2203. Ishmael Mahdi has 854, and Joey Hobart has 663. Hobart also has 6 touchdowns on the year. Mahdi has 8 touchdowns on the year, and Finley has thrown 15 touchdowns and 5 interceptions. I think he had 2 of those interceptions when they played against Troy. As far as the passing stats, they're 27th, which is pretty interesting. They're 27th and they're 19th in the rushing. And the points they threw, 35 points a game was 23rd, and points against is 28, was tied for 95th. So we have chances here where we could possibly run the score up on these guys. I mean, it's not necessarily, it's not far-fetched the way our offense runs. We should be able to put some points up. Their defense don't look that stout, so we should be okay overall as far as making things happen there. And as for us, like I said, Davis Brin is already, thrown for 2456, 17 touchdowns. Jalen White has 591 on the year as far as rushing. And Caleb Hood is at 681 with 4 touchdowns. And like I said, I think with this offense, we spread the ball around a lot, so it's not going to be too many people getting monster yards as far as receiving. Jalen White missed the game, and he still has 600 yards rushing, nearly 600 yards rushing. And this team is pretty potent. I will give them a lot of credit. This team is pretty good, and as long as we continue to play pretty solid defense, we could beat anybody. So I'm not really worried about playing against Texas State. It's just that I feel like this is our biggest test because of the history of us going up against teams after a big win, or just going out to Texas State and not knowing what type of team this is in general. So this is something that we really going to have to, factor in. Because like I said, I believe that Georgia Southern can win this game. I mean, I'm not saying that not. ESPN actually has us a slight edge on this team, but it's just at the end of the day, you don't want to get caught not knowing and end up getting beat because you're not knowing. This team is very formidable. Hopefully these guys looked at a lot of tape, looked at a lot of film, and see what these guys' tendencies are, because if you give these guys any type of momentum, they're going to try to win this game. And with them being at home, it's going to give them a lot of boost. But I think Georgia Southern has the weapons. I think they have the talent. And I like what Texas State coach has done in this first year. But I do believe that Coach Clay Helton is a little bit more, has a little bit more of an edge against this coach. So it's going to be really interesting to see how this goes. I'm definitely going to be watching it. Probably have my live stream going. So if you guys come around to check the live stream, that'd be awesome. I'm definitely going to be on it. So if you like this commentary, hit the like button, share this podcast, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Let me know what you guys think. Can the Eagles make it to 7-2, 4-1 in the conference and beat Texas State? What are your guys' thoughts and opinions? I mean, I think they can do it. This is the biggest test for Georgia Southern. I mean, I'm not going to lie, because too many variables, too many unknowns. And Texas State already looked like a team that was going to be like the best team in the West, but it doesn't look like that no more. So it's going to be interesting to see how things continue to play out, because I feel that we should be able to handle this team pretty well. But it all happens on the field. So I can be found on YouTube and Rumble, also on Anchor, Spotify, Apple, and Google Podcasts. The website is firstandframerates.com. I can be found on Twitter on X at VF Baller. Talk about things that don't really make it to the show. And if you want to support the show, Cash App is VF Baller 20, and the PayPal link is in the description below. So I guess you guys have a great weekend, man, because I'm going to try to have a good one. I'll be here watching the games and commentating as I go. All right, y'all. Y'all take it easy, and y'all be blessed. Peace.